morning. It's Kirsten Liebelt. Good morning. Good to see you. Welcome in. It must be 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It must be. How are you doing? How are you doing? So today is Tuesday. Tuesday. I don't even know the date. Is it the 14th? Must be the 14th. I have a son who has a birthday here in a couple of days. Plug that in. Yeah, my son is going to be 30 in a couple of days. So he's my youngest. That means that all of my chitlins are going to be in their 30s. I mean, I don't even know, like, how am I supposed to feel about that? I don't know. It's kind of like, wow. You hear, sorry, it's now like just telling me that it's like charging. Like in your brain that this is going to happen someday, but you just don't know what it's going to feel like when it does happen. Anyway, good to see you guys. Good to see you. Today we're going to talk a little bit about like how to actually boost your metabolism through doing things like grounding and like daylight, etc. And I'm going to tell you why there is such a good connection here for you guys with insulin sensitivity. God was never confused, right? Like God was never confused as to how to help us with our systems. We just kind of mess things up a little bit. If you're on the replay, let me know you're on the replay. I would love to know where you're coming in from. TikTok, jump on in from the balcony. Every day we go live at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And we talk about insulin resistance and how to be able to go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. Because when you're able to do that, literally, you can turn your freaking life around. Like it changes so many things. And I know that you have been searching. I know that you have been thinking there must be a better way to deal with menopause, weight gain, the fact that I'm not sleeping, the fact that I'm exhausted. I know, because I talk to you guys in my messages, I know you're thinking like, I just kept being told that when empty nest hit, that the biggest potential pitfall was going to be that I didn't know my husband. So I made sure that I knew my husband. Okay, like this is just one scenario and I get it. Everybody's a little different, right? But nobody told me that I was going to be so exhausted or inflamed, not sleeping, constipated. Like nobody told me that I might not even want to be able to get out and do the things that I dreamed that I was going to want to do because I won't have the energy. I won't feel good enough to do it. Or maybe the surgery started, and that's really frustrating. And now all of a sudden this reality hits. Oh, everything free is a script. They're not going to give me, the government's not going to provide me with free supplementation to actually deal with this non-terminal diagnosis insulin resistant issue. So that's where I come in, and I just want you guys to be so filled with hope. Like, get your hopes up. Come on, get your hopes up. Get encouraged. This is not a terminal diagnosis. Once you've entered insulin resistance land, the best thing that you can do is literally just realize it and then come on, let's move, let's go, because it's not a terminal diagnosis. And so you are very blessed today. You are very, very blessed if this is the one thing that you're dealing with. Like, come on, you guys. You can still be a foodie and turn around your insulin resistance. Like, this is not hard. I'm just telling you. Good morning, Claudette, Florida. Joanne, good morning, Arizona. Very nice. I'm in Minnesota for anybody who doesn't know. If you've never seen my content before, my name is Kirsten Liebelt, and I live in Minnesota, born and raised. Spent about 8 years in the Black Hills of South Dakota in the 90s. That's kind of where we started the beginning of raising our little babies that are now in their 30s. Wow. It's so shocking. Anyway, but otherwise in Minnesota this whole time. And I was raised by an Italian, 100% Italian, type 2 insulin dependent dad. That literally was my entire life. He was diagnosed right around the time that I was born. And I was taught so much that it was genetic that when my dad needed a kidney transplant and I was a match, the University of Minnesota went, oh, no, you can't do that, because he was diagnosed right around the time I was born, blah, blah, blah. Now, you guys, we are living in 2025. Like, wake up. We're living in 2025. This is all reversible. This is turnaroundable. And collectively, we can come together and be our own advocates. And collectively, we can do our own research and we can figure out how our own bodies run. And it's super freeing. Like, the freedom that is connected to that is amazing, because all of a sudden you feel like you're in control of something, maybe for the first time in your life. Maybe for the first time you're like, oh, this actually makes sense. Because remember, we teach very simple steps. Simple, simple, simple. Targeted supplementation, trade out your food ingredients. And if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I'm Italian. So I'm just letting you know. All right. So welcome, welcome. Good to see you guys on TikTok. Thank you so much for jumping on. And let's jump in to talking about basically resetting your metabolism. Okay. We're going to reset our metabolism. What did I write down? 10 simple ways that sunlight and grounding can actually improve your insulin sensitivity. I really like this one because the more that I hear and research and understand, the more that I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, this can be such a simplistic thought process. Okay, let me tell you what it will do though. If you start doing simple grounding practices and sunlight, blah, 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 and I'll tell you what all that is here in just a second. You can regulate your circadian rhythm. You know how many of you are not sleeping? There's a lot. I have this conversation with you guys a lot in my back. This morning, I was texting with somebody this morning about, I just can't sleep. Help me sleep. So regulates your circadian rhythms, boosts your vitamin D production. I'm in Minnesota. Boy, do we need a boost. Vitamin D plays a very crucial role in glucose metabolism and insulin function. So you want your vitamin D. This is why now so much news has been coming out about how good vitamin D is to be taking for diabetes. So it boosts your vitamin D production, enhances mitochondrial function. Sunlight, especially infrared and near infrared light, improves your mitochondrial efficiency, which is key for energy production and metabolic health, and reduces inflammation. And then grounding, that's of course for the sunlight. And then grounding, you can reduce your cortisol and your stress response. You can improve your blood flow and your oxygenation, and you can decrease systemic inflammation. Like, these are big deals. These are all of the symptoms that you guys are talking about and being frustrated over on a daily basis. So here you go. 10 simple actions to improve your metabolism and insulin sensitivity with sunlight and grounding. Okay, are you ready? Tell me if you've done any of these or if you're going to implement any of these. Now, Joanne, she's already in Arizona. Claudette's already in Florida. You guys are probably doing okay. You're probably doing okay, but still, nonetheless, like for instance, the truth is that where we are in winter in Minnesota, and so we have our heat on and we stay inside all the time. I know that in Arizona, it's flipped, right? You're inside all the time in the summer because you're trying to stay cool. You're trying to maybe, whatever, just not have heat stroke, etc. So maybe your hours spent inside are just in the summertime instead. All right, number 1, morning sunlight exposure. Spend at least 10 to 20 minutes outside within an hour of waking to regulate your circadian rhythms and your cortisol. Super interesting. So think about that for a minute. And I know that like in Minnesota, it's a challenge to think that way. Oh, within an hour of getting up, I'm going to go out into the freezing cold and I'm going to get in the sun for 10 to 20 minutes, etc. But it's telling your body it's time to wake up. It's telling your circadian rhythm, this is how we're going to do things. Okay. So you're like forcing your body. And then it's also bringing down your cortisol. When you wake up because there's a cortisol spike in your body, which is not a bad thing in that moment. That's like how we wake up, right? But now we need to like balance things out half a minute. Okay. And I always tell people, listen, if you need help with your cortisol and you've never tried a good ashwagandha, reach out to me. I'll get you a link. Ashwagandha has really shifted my world quite a bit. I'm very excited about that. It helps with sleep, stress, and mood. Mood. Everybody needs to know about that. Number 2, barefoot walks on natural ground. This one's a tough one because I live in the cities and this does not happen. And I have decided that one of my goals is that because I raised my kids on 20 acres. It was a little hobby farm north of the cities. And we always had dogs. We had labs. And, when you have dogs, your yard is ruined. You're probably not grounding in your yard when you have dogs. And I've decided that I'm going to go back out on land and I'm not going to make sure I don't have a dog just so that I can be barefoot in my yard once again. Like, this is seriously, I think about these things because I'm like, when everywhere you go, like if you live in a townhome community, all of the grass is sprayed with chemicals. It's just an absolute nightmare for trying to be clean. And if you live in a yard that has dogs, there's just no way. It's almost impossible, right? But these are the things that I think about. So, small goals in my life. But anyway, barefoot walks on natural ground, walk barefoot on grass, sand, or soil for 10 to 30 minutes a day to absorb the Earth's healing electrons. Very fascinating. Number 3, midday sun for vitamin D. Aim for 15 to 30 minutes of direct sunlight exposure on your skin without sunscreen to boost your vitamin D. I mean, sunscreen's really bad for us. I'm just telling you. I mean, I suppose you can use mineral-based, right? That's probably a better option. Watch the sunrise and the sunset. So this morning I got up early and I sat and I just watched the sunrise. That felt really good just to watch it come up, right? Viewing natural light at dawn and dusk helps set melatonin and insulin sensitivity. Isn't that interesting? Grounding while sunbathing. Now this is kind of interesting. Combine both by sitting or lying on bare earth while getting sun for a dual benefit. I don't know. That probably isn't what we were doing when we were in high school. And we were, hey, Cheryl, good morning. Good to see you. How are you? Good to see you. When we were laying on the roof, we were high school and we'd climb up on the roof of our homes and we'd lay out on the sun on the tar. Really, not a lot of wisdom. But anyway, okay. Using a grounding mat indoors. If outdoor grounding isn't an option, try a grounding mat or sheet to stay connected. I actually did buy one of those. I have a grounding fabric now on my bed because I'm on my phone a lot. I'm on electronics a lot. And I'm like, I got to figure this out. I'm too connected to that part of the world and I need to find ways that I can kind of ground myself, etc. Limit artificial light at night. Reduce blue light exposure after sunset to avoid circadian disruption and insulin resistance. I feel like that's something we know about, but we don't do, including myself. I'm not very good at that. And, but we instinctively know, this is not wisdom, right? To have all of this artificial light, especially when it gets dark at 4:30, it's how do you limit, right? Drink structured or mineralized water. Hydration supports electric. This is interesting. Listen to this. So yes, we know we're supposed to be hydrated. We know this is very important. Drink structured or mineralized water because hydration supports electrical conductivity in the body. Would you have ever thought of it that way? Enhancing grounding effects. Number 9, breathe deeply outdoors. Practicing deep breathing in sunlight helps to regulate your nervous system and your stress response. I'm just saying, that's very fascinating, right? Deep breathing in sunlight can help regulate your nervous system. And I think that as we go into fight or flight, as we have these moments of if there's seasonal depression or anxiousness, or we all of a sudden get like really concerned. We're kind of living in the what if world or whatever. And our body is like searching, kind of like this, like how to regulate our nervous system, because our body has been designed to try to balance itself out, right? So we're searching and searching. Well, if you can get yourself outside, get yourself into some sunlight, try to practice deep breathing outside in sunlight, it actually can help regulate your nervous system and your stress response. Super interesting. And then the last one is move outdoors daily, exercise outside, walking and stretching for increased energy, circulation, and metabolic health. Hold on just a second. So why does sunlight help so much? Why is it a constant conversation? Get outside, breathe while there's sunlight, get outside, see the sunrise, see the sunset, it's because everything has been put in motion for our benefit, right? And when we can't sleep, we're probably just living a life that's maybe has a lot of artificial light, a lot of artificial air. Our indoor air quality now is like, I don't think you can see it you can on Instagram. I have an air purifier right here that's on all the time. It's like our indoor air quality has gotten to be so poor, mainly because of all the PFOAs on our furniture and our carpeting and everything. Everything is like putting off, toxins and chemicals, blah, blah, blah. But also too, like even in now, and I know California has fires, but Minnesota, we have had many seasons of like wildfires come through. And I shouldn't say that. The effects of the wildfires, like if they've been in Canada or whatever, they make their way right across the nation. And we have those days then where air quality is really diminished, et cetera. And so we're trying so desperately to get ourselves into fresh air. And I feel like by even having like a good system like I have, it's kind of like I come inside for fresh air. I come inside for really good, clean air. But think about all of the different things that are of benefit just by getting out into the sun. So sunlight helps to regulate your circadian rhythms, your vitamin D levels, they're crucial for glucose metabolism. If you don't know that, may I be the first one to tell you your vitamin D levels are crucial for your glucose metabolism. Like you're wondering why your blood sugars are kind of wacky, they're kind of out of sync, etc. Are you supplementing vitamin D? Because you're probably not getting enough at all. Like north of probably, Orlando, the entire United States, we are deficient in vitamin D. And I will say, side note, if you need a good vitamin D recommendation, will you reach out to me? Mine is like 30 cents a day and it's sourced from mushrooms. It's not synthetic. Like it's just ridiculous. We don't have to buy trash. We can actually get something that our body will recognize really, really well. But sunlight also helps you with your inflammation and your mitochondria. It improves energy and cellular function. So if you're dealing with a lot of inflammation, I mean, honestly, just think about all of those things and how then we were told to stay out of the sun during that little shutdown thingamajigger that we went through. How horrible, how horrible, how horrible, how horrible. When here we were dealing with mitochondrial issues and inflammatory issues, et cetera. Like this is really ridiculous. We should always be just paying attention to what we know our bodies are asking for. And when you do grounding, it's starting to really, it used to be kind of like a woo-woo concept, like, oh, I'm going to go hug a tree or I'm going to go, ground myself or whatever. And now I feel like it's a very mainstream in our conversation. And I'm so thankful for that, because the truth is that God made it so that there would be this cycle of how our bodies would be regenerated, renewed, and our cellular structure would have opportunity to, get itself boosted and functioning at a higher level. And, so everything that we were really taught about how, don't pay any attention to any of that woo-woo stuff, only pay attention to Western medicine and only pay attention to, whatever, like, I don't even know, like just Band-Aids. And it's just, we're kind of tired of that. I mean, I think I know for myself, and probably you too, better now. You're like convinced, like nobody can convince you now that focusing on health and wellness is a bad idea. Like you're so over that because you have studied enough and taken enough steps to go, you know what? Not only will I, reject their conversation of like, I'm sorry, but you're telling me the script is only $3. What's the price I will pay in my life? If I receive your little $3 script because you're trying to tell me that free is better, you're past that, right? I mean, I know that that's where I had to get past that. Like, wait a minute. No, the price is too high for what you're telling me. And I don't need another Band-Aid. I'm actually going to go over here and I'm going to find out, like, when my son had an ATV accident, he was 13 years old. And we live in Minnesota, and he was at a cabin in Wisconsin with my husband. And he was on an ATV and they were just in the yard. And he was driving and he turned back to see if his friend was behind him. And he overcompensated because at 13, your brain's not, fully like formed and you don't have all of the skills, right? All of the depth perception skills, et cetera. Everything is formative. And he turns and he actually goes into a tree, right, on the left side of his face, and he shatters his orbital bone. And the short version of the story would be that he ended up getting airlifted to a hospital a couple of hours away back here in the cities. They had to induce a coma to rest his brain because he had bleeding on the brain, right? So he goes through this whole thing. I mean, his situation, you guys, was so interesting. At the time, was I actually working there? I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I was working there at the time or if later I started working there, but it was a chiropractor's office, a friend of ours, and he was really good. He knew what he was talking about when he would talk about different connections. So at the time, my son, he had one eye that went a completely different direction. This is right after the incident. And so when they would do any kind of vision tests, obviously he had like no sight in this eye. So after a couple of weeks from the accident, he goes in to get adjusted because now, you can imagine the impact on his neck as he kind of went in, right? And he had all this impact going on, blah, blah, blah. And it turned out to be a wonderful journey where he was fully healed, and God is so, so good. And so that's the ending story. But in the meantime, he goes to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor adjusts his neck and his eye comes back into place. I mean, it was so miraculous, you guys. It was amazing. And his vision, totally perfect. Totally perfect. He's my son that's going to be 30 now in a couple of days. So, and he was 13 at the time. So totally perfect, all is well, but he's still like dealing with headaches from just the whole impact of everything that took place. And at the time, my girlfriend bought him a necklace that was magnetic. And so for me at the time, that felt kind of woo-woo, like, I mean, could work, couldn't work, don't know, never researched it, never thought about it, whatever. Well, doesn't it make sense though that God made us this way, right? So he puts on this necklace and he literally never took it off for, had to have been a straight 6 months. Like he showered with it on and everything. And eventually one day it did break. Took away his headaches because of the resetting of, the electrons in his body. Or, I mean, like, I don't know my science enough to explain that to you, right? But all of this thought process of like grounding when you're talking about insulin resistance, it can reduce your cortisol and your stress. And come on, that insulin and cortisol are sister hormones. They're like sisters, right? Like, what's that song? I don't even know the song, but they're sister hormones. They like to create belly fat. Like they get really excited about that. And you've got to bring down your cortisol and your stress in order to be able to have that part of turning back around your insulin resistance work, right? So high cortisol worsens your insulin resistance. Grounding can neutralize free radicals. It lowers your inflammation and your oxidative stress by neutralizing free radicals. And it improves your blood flow and your circulation, which is key for your metabolic health. My dad had really, really bad blood flow and circulation. Like that was a big part of his puzzle. A big part of his puzzle. He had terrible, terrible circulation. And that's why, like when you're type 2, which he was, and remember he died at 63. So his circulation, it was a constant conversation or paying attention to the sores on his legs because his circulation was not there. So high inflammation, poor circulation, that's pretty much my dad's life in a nutshell. So those 10 simple actions can make such a huge difference in your body. Get morning sunlight 10 to 20 minutes a day. It helps to balance your cortisol and your melatonin for better metabolism. Go on barefoot walks. It helps to neutralize inflammation and stress. Watch the sunrise and the sunset. Like get up in the morning and watch that sunrise. It sets your circadian clock, which regulates your metabolism. I mean, did you think that you could watch the sunrise and the sunset and help your ability to lose weight? We're not thinking that way. Grounding while sunbathing, it'd be a dual benefit of sunlight plus Earth's healing electrons. Use a grounding mat indoors, great for bad weather or for city living. I'm city living. Anybody else city living or bad weather? Like I'm in Minnesota. So hello, 2 strikes against me. I should have my whole floor should be a grounding mat. Reduce your artificial light at night. Blue light at night disrupts your blood sugar and your metabolism. Have you ever heard that reality? That blue light at night literally is messing up your metabolism and your blood sugar. I think that's just very fascinating. Stay hydrated with minerals. So get your electrolytes. Get your electrolytes. LMNT is a really good brand. It's sugar-free, salty, SALTT. Another one that's sugar-free, good ingredients. But if you stay hydrated with minerals, plus I take my magnesium at night, my magnesium blend. And don't forget, I have an amazing magnesium blend that is launching in March. You can get onto my VIP list if you want to. Over here, I put all my stuff on TikTok because TikTok is unstable at the moment. It has an unstable connection to the world, to the United States. So if you go to my site, kirstenliebelt.com, my first last name.com, and you scroll, just one scroll, at the very bottom, it'll say, get on my VIP list for my magnesium launch. And you just put in your name and your email, and I can let you know when it launches. But anyway, I take my magnesium at night, every night. It's a glycinate blend. And by doing that, I'm getting the mineral deficiencies. By being on the trio, for any one of you that is on the trio, you're filling in some trace minerals, aren't you? Oopsie. Yes, you are. You're doing a lot of really good things with minerals when you're on the trio. That's very, very important. But it is supporting your electrical conductivity and grounding you to get your minerals. So get your electrolytes in, get your minerals in, right? Deep breathing in sunlight, it lowers your stress and stabilizes blood sugar. Call you guys, I mean, honestly, all of the things that we keep hearing that we know we're supposed to be doing, but did you know that they were connected to your blood sugar and your metabolism? Wouldn't we as women would have wanted to know this? Call, it's so sad that the only answers that we are ever given are scripts, more scripts, higher doses of scripts, and then scripts to take care of the side effects of the scripts. Like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this over and over and over again? Why are we doing this? And we're not just making ourselves get out and connect with what God already gave us. He already gave us the answers. It just ticks me off. Outdoor movement. It'll literally boost your metabolism and circulation naturally by getting outside and moving. And then a bonus tip was if you work indoors all day, which I do, take movement breaks outside every few hours. Even 5 minutes can make a difference. And out of all of those, which Cheryl, yes, she says, which tip do you think you're going to implement out of all the ones that we just mentioned? What are you going to implement? I know that this is actually a big conversation that I've been having with my husband, just because being in January in Minnesota, if you're not intentional, like you just really do want to hibernate like a bear. It's not good. You really do have to force yourself because nobody's waking up. I was watching this morning. Just people are up so early, up and out very early, right? And you can see how cold it is by the exhaust on their car. And you can see that their car was just started 2 minutes ago. And it's just like, like just so much exhaust, etc. And you're just so freaking cold. Most people do not wake up and go, I can't wait to get out into the frigid cold. Now, there are some people who are doing cold tubs and doing all the stuff. And I get it. And that's actually really smart. And apparently you can really burn that visceral belly fat. You can do all sorts of stuff with cold plunges. People are buying tanks. But for the most part, nobody's choosing to be that cold that early. So you have to be super intentional about it, don't you? So anyway, so I felt like that was very, very interesting information to actually help with insulin sensitivity and your metabolism. And if you are somebody who is trying to go, you're just really, I've had some of you reach out to me and say, because we've talked about this, like if you're going to fix one thing in 2025, like fix your sleep. Like do things that are going to very much benefit the rest of the way that your body is going to function. And if you're not sleeping, your insulin resistance and your cortisol is up the next day. Like you have to fix this. So as we kind of go through 2025 now, if you are like, doggone it, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. I am not going to pass go. I'm not going to collect $200. I'm not going to, is that how that goes with Monopoly? Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Like you're going to take it on this year, then don't be shy. Like in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women, we'll have another 5-day reset. Our 21st one will be coming up in February. And we do it every month so that you can put together month after month after month of changing out your food ingredients, starting a targeted supplementation routine, getting your engine functioning from the inside out so that you can actually go from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. And did you know you can become more metabolically flexible? Like your life can just become more and more healed, more and more flexible. It won't stay the same forever, but you do have to take a few steps, right? There's not a lot, but you do have to take a couple. So I always talk about, like for anybody that wants to look on my site, my first last name.com, you'll see yellow stars. And the trio is the first thing that I usually talk about with people because this is where I started a little over 10 years ago. And it will help with bringing down insulin, bringing down sugars, helping you with your metabolism, doing a little bit of thermogenic for you, and also helping with your liver. And your liver is your fat metabolizing organ. So this alone, if that's all you looked at, look at the button that says Trio Testimonials. Do yourself a favor. Don't listen to me. Even though I know I didn't start this last week, this is not like a brand new thing that I just started. You still don't have to listen to me. You can listen to the testimonies of the other people. And then I always remind you, just make sure you register with your name, okay? Register with your name, get the good shipping. But the trio, or you might be thinking that you're wanting to do that with your gut reset. That's a primer and a probiotic. Go and listen to, I've got little 2 and 3 minute videos on there. Go and listen to those because those on those little starred buttons, there's 3 of them. When you're able to move that impacted waste and really help your insulin sensitivity quest, help your GLP-1 quest, you want to up how much GLP-1 your body is making instead of bandaging, Band-Aid, injection, Band-Aid. Stop. Your body was created to run like a Porsche. We just started driving it like it was a rental. That's on us. There's no way around that. Now we need to get back. We need to actually take steps like sunlight and grounding and all of these things. We got to get back, but we do have to trade out our food ingredients, and you can completely change the way that your engine is functioning. It's why I do the things that I do, because I don't want to be constipated, and I don't want indigestion, and I have had people say to me, just with the gut reset protocol, just with the gut primer and the probiotic, I haven't slept like this in years, because your body's not fighting. Your body's not fighting to function. You're actually having cellular renewal while you sleep when done properly. When you take proper supplementation that's targeted at night before you go to bed with thought, with intention, I'm telling you, you can have complete cellular renewal when you go to sleep at night. Mine is 2 of the turmeric. My turmeric is 45 times more absorbable than the average turmeric. So inflammation down. Taking 400 milligrams of mine is like taking 6,000 of somebody else's. So I take 2 of those. I take 2 of the ashwagandha. Let's get that cortisol down. Helps with sleep, stress, and mood. Such a great ashwagandha. I take a vitamin C, high antioxidant. Very potent, not a cheap C. No, don't be doing citric acid crap. Don't be doing that. High potency vitamin C. That is think about how we're putting vitamin C on our skin, right? High antioxidant. If you've never seen me, like in my stories, when I talk about, I have a vitamin C serum that I like to use on my skin. And it's literally you are activating it. It's about as fresh as you will ever get for a serum, because you are activating it into the botanical serum. You're activating the powder, and then you're shaking it up, and it's good for 30 days. But that kind of a vitamin C serum with hyaluronic acid, et cetera, like it really does. It's so high antioxidant on your skin. That's what is helping to get you clear skin, like to take away spots, et cetera, discoloration. There's a demo that we do. So think about how you can do that internally. I take a vitamin C at night. We do a demo where we take an apple, and we use what is that called? The liquid iodine. We take iodine, and we can put it on half of the apple. And you know how an apple will turn brown quickly, just like that. So what we'll do is we'll put the vitamin C serum on one half, no vitamin C serum on the other half. But when you take the browned half of the apple and you start to put just a couple of drops of that serum on there, it cleanses, it clears it. And then we keep using iodine to kind of show how if you put the iodine on the vitamin C treated side, it immediately disperses it. And it kind of goes. This is why that's why vitamin C serums are like, they're amazing on your skin. If you could only buy one thing for your skin, I would probably say it should be the vitamin C. Mine is three types of hyaluronic acid. I'm just saying. That is a great serum. But anyway, my point being that that's what vitamin C does for our body. That's why it's so important inside. And then now we know we can use it outside, right? Not to get off the subject, Cheryl, what are you going to say? I'm just kidding. But she made the spaghetti squash recipe this morning, and it is so good, you guys. That's a good conversation to have. In fact, I'll share with you guys how to find that recipe. So amazing. Every now and then you try a recipe that it is a home run, and that is a home run. It's a spaghetti squash breakfast casserole. Excuse me. So to wrap up for my evening supplementation, I do two turmeric, 2 ashwagandha, a vitamin C, excuse me, and then my 2 magnesium. And then of course I've got my new launch of magnesium coming in March. So don't miss out on that. Don't miss out on that. You want that vitamin C. It's so good, Claudette. It really is. And every time you do it, like you're pressing down the top of it, and it's like releasing the powder into the serum, and then you're shaking it. You have 30 days to use it. That's how fresh it is. Think about how not fresh skincare is on the shelf. I'm just saying, like, if it's not really helping, then I'm just saying, like, that's about it. So you will never get it as fresh as that, where you literally are the one to activate it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. But the spaghetti squash casserole, I'll wrap up with this. How does that sound? And then if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love it when I open up my messages, my text messages. And in fact, right on my site right there is it'll say, text me here. And you can press that button and you can text me. You can say, I was on your live. You were talking about the trio. You were talking about the gut reset. You were talking about the fat burner, the blood orange pixie stick. I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday. She's like, OMG, it does taste like candy. What the heck? I'm like, I know. It's my treat. But anyway, anything that I talk about ever on any of these lives, you guys just reach out and go, like, send me a link. I just need to look at that for a half a second. Like, just let's chat. Okay. That's so exciting. You can't wait. I know. Oh, Magda, good morning. You're totally fine. You're good, Magda. You are good. And I think, Claudette, you could probably you just search vitamin C and you'll get both the pill to look at and then the serum. So you can do both. So this last week, we had a 5-day reset in the group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And every month that I do a reset, this will be our 21st one in February, I pick a recipe. Okay. And I was searching for recipes last week and I'm like, oh, what do I want to make? And I kind of thought, yeah, I could do something with spaghetti squash and that would be really awesome. But I went through, oh man, I would say a good 8 recipes where I'm like, it just didn't look like what I wanted. Like I could kind of guess how it was going to turn out. And then I stumbled across this recipe and it's a spaghetti squash breakfast casserole and it's put out by All Day I Dream About Food. She has a great blog, really good desserts. FYI, if you're a sweet tooth like I am, I like the desserts. Okay. So I go ahead and I usually make twice the recipe because I'm going to test it so that I can see what I want to tweak or what I didn't like. Because I'm going to tell you if I don't like something, like I don't want you to, whatever, or I'm going to tweak it. I'm kind of a tweaker. So I make one and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And then made another one for that day. And so I ended up with 2 of them. And my husband and I are just still enjoying this spaghetti squash casserole. So it basically is using spaghetti squash and spinach, mushrooms and garlic and butter. I'm trying to remember everything. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can look it up. All Day. I don't know if I can look it up fast with this because it doesn't let me use my. Oh, it does. There we go. Hold on. That's kind of a bonus. I'm not going to lie. My keyboard doesn't always work. All Day I Dream About Food. I'm going to look this up and then I'm going to hold this up and show you. All Day I Dream About Food.com. That is the website. And let me look it up. I'm so excited that my keyboard is working. Spaghetti, oopsie. Squash breakfast. Okay. So we went ahead and made this and it was so dang good and I highly recommend it. And one of the good hacks in your life is to, it has eggs in it, it has sausage in it, so that there's going to be a nice protein component to it, but also to have a pan of something that you can take a serving out of, whether it is an egg bake or like this breakfast casserole or the keto lasagna, to have that in your fridge where you can grab a serving, and you are then setting yourself up for success. It's like a total success hack to do that. Oh, Phyllis, you're so fine. You are so fine. My nighttime regimen, 2 of the turmeric, 2 of the ashwagandha, 1 of my vitamin C, and then 2 of the magnesium. And the magnesium is not mine. It's the only one of the things that I take that's not mine. My magnesium is launching in March, and I will let you know about that when it happens. I think you're on my list. All right, hold on. I'm going to hold this up for you. I apologize. So going back to that whole concept of that being a hack, here it is. It really does matter, you know, and meal prep doesn't have to be this long, arduous, like horrible thing. I remember people doing, and they probably still do it, where you take all day, one day, and you make like 30 different meals and you put them in the freezer. And nothing could be further from desire for me to spend all day. I get the concept, and I probably tried it and thought it was a good idea when I was raising my kids. I'm in a different season of life. So now I just understand, you know, the benefits of having something like this in my refrigerator ready to go. And I just made it this morning, or I heated some up this morning after I had my supplements, blah, blah, blah. And it was so good. And so here, I will show this to you. Okay, so it's spaghetti squash breakfast casserole, if you can see that. It's all day I dream about food. Okay, and I'll show you a picture of it here. Oh, Phyllis, you're amazing. She says, I'm precious. You're precious. I'm going to put that up there. You're so sweet, Phyllis. Thank you. You just made my day. You just made my day. Okay, this is literally what it looks like. This is literally it. It's spaghetti squash, spinach, and I'll read to you the ingredients just so that you can know whether or not you care enough to go over and look at it, because you may not like the ingredients, but you can always tweak it as well. And then we will jump off. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any questions about, like for instance, you can go to my site, Kirsten Liebelt, firstlastname.com. There's a free protein guide there for you. The Facebook group is there for you. The VIP magnesium list is there for you. Okay, so this is what was in here. Spaghetti squash, Jones Dairy Farm golden brown sausage links. You can get those at Costco. Butter, mushrooms, garlic, salt, spinach, feta cheese, Parmesan, eggs, whipping cream, salt, and pepper. What? This is why it's so good. That feta and that Parmesan, oh my goodness gracious. It is so good. And here, take a screenshot of this if you want to. This is All Day I Dream About Food. So there, now the actual website is right there for you. Can all 3 of you see it? I think all 3 of you can see it. If you want to screenshot that, oh, there, get that shining off of there. All Day I Dream About Food, spaghetti squash breakfast casserole. There you go. Highly recommend. Thank you for bringing that up, Cheryl, because I'm telling you, that will be on repeat in my house. And, you know, we talked the other day about how, you know, everything has carbs in it. It's like, it's not not that carbs are evil. It's just that once you are in insulin resistant land and your cells have closed the door, your storage unit has like the key isn't working in the lock anymore. You have to become more sensitive. So your goal is to go from resistant to sensitive, so that you can get the energy into your cell again. And you can stop having all this excess glucose that's getting stored as fat. Okay. That's the goal, because your cell went, pretty much no. Why are you giving me this level of insulin and glucose? I don't think so. And all of your storage units went bam, 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 and they shut the doors. Okay. So that's why when you're bringing down your carbs, boom, 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 you're not giving your body so much glucose to manage because the door hasn't opened yet. So your goal is a journey of sensitivity. Okay. And it can take time. That's why I talk about targeted supplementation. If you want to speed up, if you want to launch your body towards insulin sensitivity, like I did, and then the trio fully supported me in losing 3 sizes in my 50s, because once you can get your insulin down and get your liver working, you can actually lose fat again. So if you need that push, you need to go faster. You need to speed it up a little bit. This is how you compress time. Compressed time, trio. And if, the gut reset protocol, that's the gut primer and the probiotic. But if you just wanted to be able to like compress time for weight loss, think about the trio and the blood orange. Think about that together. And you'll start seeing inches come off of your waist and your hips with the blood orange. That's a clinical dose of an extract. But get your sugars and your insulin down. Go look at you can go look at the all of the testimonies for yourself. You don't have to listen to me. There's literally a Google sheet that it doesn't even have all of them, but there's a Google sheet, a doc. You can press a button and start reading through this Google sheet of things that have happened that are positive for people who started on the trio. Like, this is a really good conversation to have. But my point being that if you can get your body to go towards sensitivity, you have to change out your foods at the same time. You can't keep doing what you've been doing and expect different results. That's called insanity. You do have to switch things out. There are people who have done, I have testimonies of people who are like, listen, I didn't either. I didn't start with my food. I started with supplements because I'm Italian. I didn't think I could do it. But my point being that there are other people who have done that too, right? But when you can do both, you will compress your time. So spaghetti squash is about 10 grams of carbs per cup. So just to let you know, it's not a free food, right? Just because it's, a spaghetti squash. I don't know why we would think it was free, but I mean, it's just not. It's about 10 grams of carbs per cup. So that's probably, like if you think about how much is in a cup, it's not that much, right? A cup is not that much. But that could definitely be a nice serving inside of your spaghetti squash casserole, right? And if you're shooting for 30 or 20 grams of carbs or less a day, that's a really nice thing to have in the morning. Get you going, and you're taking on some decent carbs. And I'm just telling you, like, it's a really great way to be able to have things that are available for you, lickety split. So I'm glad you brought that up, Cheryl. So anyway, but if you need anything, if you need to launch, if you need a different answer right now, because you're already thinking about April, you already have maybe a vacation booked, you already have something that's coming up this summer, and you don't want to do the summer again like last summer. And you, just like me, you know that this is not something that happens overnight. You're not expecting your body or requiring your body to, just absolutely transform itself from here till, Saturday. Like, you already know that. So then Start your journey now and begin that process of turning things back around. There will be a 5-day reset waiting for you in February. And then there will be another one waiting for you in March and another one waiting for you in April. Can you see how you can actually like put yourself in motion and get on a track, like get your train on a track, and you literally begin to walk out this blueprint of transformation for yourself. And you're just doing what I did, which is I went from insulin resistant to insulin sensitive. That's what I was doing. So praise God, because I'm here for it. I'm here for another level in 2025. I've already written down the things that I don't want to take into 2025 from 2024. We talked about that like a couple, like New Year's. I already know what I don't want to take with me from last year. Not interested. There's a new level. And I know you're just like me. I know you are. I know that you too want a new level. You want different answers because for decades you keep doing the same thing and it's kind of like a dog chasing its tail and it's so dang frustrating and nobody else is giving you any clarity as to why your body refuses to lose weight. And insulin is a hormone and it's a fat storing hormone. And it is the conversation. It's not one of, it is the conversation to be having if you want difference. And Terry, I don't remember if Terry was on today. Terry's 62, 8 months. This just happened for her. 8 months she actually uses all three of these, the trio, the gut reset protocol, and the pixie stick. 8 months, lost 40 pounds. She's 62 years old. And for as much as she's excited about losing 40 pounds, because who wouldn't be? Can you imagine how much better you feel when you lose 40 pounds off of your joints, off of your energy levels? Just, you don't have 40 pounds sitting on you anymore, right? Non-scale victory for her was tucking in her shirt for the first time in a long time. And that felt really good to her. And I think we can all resonate with that. So make yourself a success story this year for yourself. Do it for you. Do it for your own memories. All right. So tomorrow we'll be back 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need anything from me today, let me know. I am following up on conversations. I was behind in my DMs this morning. I'm getting caught up. So if I didn't see something, resend and just say, yoo-hoo, because seriously, like I will absolutely always do my best to answer. But if I don't, it's just because you got lost. you got buried under something. So you just have to remind me and I would be more than happy to help you. Okay. So, all right. Have such a terrific day. Enjoy wherever it is that you live. And I will